Hi, I'm Marissa Kozlov. Welcome back for another eMarketer Industry Voices, where we bring you perspectives on how marketers are working through challenges and what they envision for the future. Joining me today is Charisse Hughes, Chief Brand and Advanced Analytics Officer at the Kellogg Co. Charisse, so nice to have you here today.
Marissa, thank you so much for having me.
Charisse, prior to your recent transition into the role focusing on brand and analytics, you held the CMO role at Kellogg as well as some other brands. This is a role that the responsibilities have changed drastically in the past number of years. So, based on your experience, what makes a CMO successful today?
First and foremost is helping to define and shape the future, or the North Star, to help the company or your brand deliver long-term sustainable growth. The second way is, of course, and this is kind of foundational to marketing, is advocating for what the consumer wants and cares about. Consumers are expecting more of the brands and companies that they interact with. They're also expecting brands and companies to have a strong purpose that is tied to their values. The third area is breaking down silos across, and within the organization. And then the last piece, which has gotten ever more important as data and the way that consumer shop has changed, is building capabilities and helping to ultimately shape the culture of the organization and the way that the organization interacts.
Well, really interesting to hear how you think about the importance of the role of the CMO and how you've bucketed those into those four key areas. So thank you for sharing those with us. Within your role right now, you're on the front lines of making data and analysis actionable. How has data improved the customer experience with Kellogg?
I think about the ways that we used to market to consumers, which were kind of putting them all in this really broad, vast bucket. What we've been able to do now is to understand consumers immensely, more than we ever could have. And I believe in my heart of hearts that the consumer and shopper experience is better in a targeted advertising world. What that comes with is a significant responsibility, which is to treat your consumer and shoppers' data with the utmost integrity and regard. So we are thinking very holistically on how we collect, how we protect, how we activate, and then how we communicate that value proposition that we're offering to consumers and in exchange for the use of their data to serve them better.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of that data right now is tying into e-commerce efforts and increasing the transaction value. In recent years, Kellogg, like many others in the CPG space, has invested heavily in its e-commerce presence. Where do things like AI and machine learning fit into your strategy?
One of the things that we've been doing is adapting our content and using users to help us adapt that content. So based upon where they're viewing or engaging, we're able to edit the content and tighten up the message. The other way that we're using AI and machine learning is in innovation. One of our partners that we've been leveraging is helping us understand key terms and key food behaviors and food trends, and helping us interpret those food trends, understanding whether the trend is nascent or whether it's developed. And based upon that, we are able to tailor our innovation strategy. So if this is a proliferated term, then it may be something that we would want to message in our commercial innovation and in claims, versus something that is barely sort of scratching the surface from a consumer standpoint. And we have an opportunity to read much more breakthrough and define, really like new foods and new storytelling around that term.
Charisse, since joining Kellogg in 2020, you've helped pave the way for diversity, equity, and inclusion at the company. Tell us more about the K-Way of marketing and what you hope the program will achieve.
First and foremost, I just want to say that purpose-driven brands, we know, grow faster than non-purpose-driven brands. Consumers actually have told us that they're more likely to advocate for purpose-driven brands. So at the heart of everything is being authentic and true. I absolutely love this company for that very reason. In 2020, we reasserted and kind of reaffirmed our purpose, which is all about providing a seat at the table for everyone and having inclusive workforce, but also being inclusive in the ways that we speak to and connect with our consumers. What we learned as we were building out this program was that this diverse consumer cohort has $4 trillion of spending power, and that specifically within the US, that 8 of the top 10 US cities are already majority minority. So what that said to me is that we've been missing the mark, frankly, in terms of our marketing, and that we had some work to do to make sure we understand that consumers' affinity. What role does food play in their lives? How can we be more relevant culturally? And doing all of that through our K way of inclusive marketing.
Charisse, you have talked about so much today. If you were to sum it up, what is the key priority for Kellogg in 2022?
Our objective is to clearly define and to drive momentum behind our winning brands, which we have several within our portfolio. It is to put the consumer and the shopper at the center of everything we do, and to use data and advanced analytics to power all of that, so that we are making sure that our consumers have a seat at the table, and that we're speaking to them in a way that is meaningful, and desirable, and helps them continue to connect with us.
Charisse, thank you so much for being with us today, for being such an inspiration. I know that I am incredibly inspired by all that you've accomplished, not only at Kellogg, but also in your career. Thank you for sharing all of these stories and for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Marissa.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in to Industry Voices. We'll see you soon.